G'day punters. I'm going to apologise up front. This intro is done about 3 or 4 weeks after the video. It's really about revisiting the Almac boat loader. You can see up there now. And I've got some stuff about the rod holder as well, because I destroyed that in a recent trip to Cape York. At present we're just unloaded. We've come back from 3 weeks away as well. Anyhow, I'll let you have a look at the rest of the video and hope you enjoy it. G'day punters, this is Almac boat loader revisited. Since the last video I uploaded a few months ago, I've been up to the Cape, travelled some of the tracks up there, the well-known ones, Bloomfield, Crab, Old Telegraph Track and Frenchman's. On the Old Telegraph Track, thought I'd clip the bottom of my toolbox down here. What I actually did is I had a rod holder up on the right hand side which mounted up to those two holes and these two holes. And I smacked the back end of the rod holder off, lost my 4 rods. The 2 brackets are up there. There's that one there. You can probably just see it on the left hand side, it's just a little bit bent. And the front one, which mounts up here, got it a bit harder. It's a bit bent as well. So I'm going to modify those and make them a little bit smaller so it doesn't stick out too far. And hopefully protect our new rod holder. In the first video, you'd have seen that my boat came up pretty close to the outside of these rollers there. I had 1 or 2 occasions up in the Cape where the boat actually slipped over the side, which created a bit of a pain in the arse. So what I've done is I've modified these. I've cut out a bit between the 2 holes on both sides, so I actually slide them from left to right a little bit so I can get a little bit more adjustment. Previously I was limited to the adjustment between the holes, and I probably only need 10 millimeters each side so the boat can sit in there nicely. That's 2 things. Third thing, Mean Mother 2,000 pound or train winch. You'll recall that I had some problems with fuses blowing. Well, I've gone from using the power supply inside the canopy to using the power supply supplied to my camper trailer. It is a higher rated fuse, 50 amps, so that sort of sorted out that problem. But on the very last load, my winch cable got a bit tied up. And I'll drop some video in here of that. But that's what's left of the winch cable. And I'll show you what happened. So here we are on top of the cruiser, on the top of the Almac boat loader. And you can see that's been pushed out. There was a locking pin in here, T-handle, spring loaded. That snapped. You can just see the rest of the winch cable there. And you might be able to see it. This motor's actually been pushed back that way a bit. What happened is when the cable was loading up, it jumped off that spool, went down in there, and ended up pushing out through the side there. And that's what bent the mounting bracket, busted that pin, caused a bit of heartache. I couldn't unwind the cable, so I ended up cutting it off. Now, 2 reasons that's occurred, and that's not Almac's problem, that's the way I set up the cable. The cable originally came across the top of here, and that's nice and rounded, so I'm not too worried about sharp edges on that. And then it went straight down the back, and just about married up with the bridle, and the cables went off to the left and to the right to the boat, just across the top here. I had my fuel tank up here, and I had some other stuff stored up here as well. So when I was winching the cable in, it was coming across the top of the fuel tank, and the other stuff fouling up, caused a bit of heartache, ended up pushing off the side of that drum. Now, lesson learnt from that, probably one of 2 things. Don't store stuff up on top of the Almac boat loader until the boat's up. Pain in the ass, because then you'll need to lift the boat up and put stuff in underneath. Second thing is, have I got the bridles and the cable set up properly? And the second answer is probably the solution. I need to have the boat up a bit higher so that the cable is above this back bar. So if I do have anything on here, then it's not going to foul. It's not going to stop anything from down here because the winch is so low. But I should be able to store stuff up the back here, like my fuel tank. So I need to make sure that the boat's a little bit higher. I've now loosely mounted these rollers, and that's where they originally were. I went up to the Cape, and the next mounting point was there, so it would have been there, about an inch each side, so it was just way too wide to be effective or practical. But now I've got a means of adjusting just by a narrow amount. I've cut down one of the original rod holder brackets, so the tube used to go in there. That's the bracket off the other rod holder. Now I've actually cut that down. See, this will mount straight up to the top of the canopy, and that's going to mount there. It's got to work out where the tube's going to be in relation to the canopy door when the canopy door's open. Now that's going to fit up here. Now the holes that are in it aren't going to line up with the gutter there. You can see they're off a bit, but that's about where I want it. Somewhere around about there. That's the front bracket fitted off. I've just elongated the holes that were in the bottom down there. I've got a little bit of clearance between the back of this bracket and the concept canopies roof rack. And I've got a bit of clearance there as well. The only other thing I've got to do is I've got to put some holes in here. I'm not going to do that until I get some new poly pipe. As I say, see where this canopy door comes up, and I don't want the poly pipe hitting the canopy door when the canopy door is up. You can see that the rod holder is now on the Landcruiser. Clears the canopy door quite easily. It's nice and close into the Almac boat loader, or the roof rack of the Almac boat loader. I've got a secure locking plate at the other end. I'll show you that very shortly. So this is the lockable cap, not security plate. I'll put details in the description about where I got it from. It's actually glued to the pipe, screw thread, and that's a screw thread with a locking mechanism. What I've done is I've replaced the winch motor up the top there. I've made these rope shorter, so the back of the motor sits up a little bit higher. I'm hoping that the winch cable, when connected up to here, will sit above the back of the Almac tray. Alright, got the boss on it, hooked up the winch cable, just going to winch it up now, see how we go. Those two rollers up the top, you can start it through. Those two rollers at the top, I've adjusted the brackets on those. We've seen some video on that. Hopefully it's going to be wide enough now to take the width of the boat in the elevated position. I'm now running, as I've mentioned before, the cable down there to my trailer plug. Got a bit of water coming out because I've just given it a pressure clean. I'm just going to hold it up in the vertical position once it's up there. You can see that winch cable now, it's right above. I'll have a look from the top. There's a good height on that. This cable here, good height above the top of the Almac boat loader tray or roof rack. So if I had a fuel tank in there now, it should probably clear at that position anyhow. So I've just finished hosing the boat down. Sorry about the water in the background, that's just the coil pump. Can you stop it at full vertical, Prue, when it touches those rollers? Okay, just going to have a look at the roller separation now. So we can see they've got probably about 30 or 40 mil gap there. Nothing this side. So that looks okay, that side. Looks like we're going to have to push those rollers out a bit further, so I might just do that now before we roll the boat over. Okay, so I've adjusted those rollers and you can see there's a little bit of a gap up there now beside the side of the boat and that roller, and a little bit there as well. Now the bloke from Almac also told me that the lengths of these ropes is pretty critical. Probably speaking to the dumb there, but anyhow, he said they need to be within 5mm of each other, closer the better, because the one side shorter, to say the left side was shorter, the top of the boat would roll to the right. So that makes sense, I suppose. Anyhow, we're going to roll it over now, Prue, and see how we go. Hopefully it just goes straight up on the loader. Oh, see it twist off then. But stop, Prue. Alright, the culprit. The culprit was these three ropes. Two are the same length and one is a different length. That's the shorter one. That was actually connected up to the side down here. Sorry about the glare of that bloody sun. So it's pulling to one side. So it should be pretty close to being in the centre of the boat, that ring. And it is pretty close. All you do is can actually mark this rope with a permanent black texture, so we know that goes to the nose cone, and we'll get another whirl. Rightio. Second attempt. Looks like it's going up straight. Well, it did first time too, I suppose. I suppose if I wanted to be a perfectionist, I could stick a spirit level along there and just see if one side's off from the other, and I know that those two rear ropes are pretty close, not perfect. Here we go. Right, yeah, that's in the vertical position. I'm going to roll it over now, see how we go. Should probably put a little bit of weight on the back because it'll drop down a bit. Here we go. Seems to be fine. There's no mark on the side anymore, so we have to do a new mark on there. I'll actually score the side up the top there so we know how far this has got to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it down again one more time, and I'm going to take some video from the top, and you can see how it comes down to how I just set up the video camera. I guess it's inevitable that this winch rope is going to come across the back of the roof rack when it gets down to this level, so my initial thoughts about having the fuel tank up there probably aren't going to be accurate. You see they got up pretty well. Another thing the Almac guys told me was when I was talking about the rated capacity amperage draw of these little winches. They said their auto electrician or their electrician that wires up these things did a clamp test on these. And it was around about 22-23 amp draw, so that's why I was blowing the 20 amp fuses before. Right, well, I'm pretty happy with that, so hopefully I won't have any problems with this winch motor and future use. I'll just have to get used to throwing up the fuel tank and stuff up there once the boat's up there. hopefully this was useful to some of you with Almac boat loaders who are setting it up yourselves. Certainly trial and error. I'll just show you what happened to the old winch motor on the boat loader. This has a right angle brake on it, mounts onto those two screws there. The bracket goes this way, then right. Turn it around that way, the bracket mounts, there's a hole in the bracket that mounts that drum up into the centre. Through there goes a pin. It's usually a roll pin that sits there. I've lost the roll pin. And when you pull it up to rotate it, the roll pin sits outside the drum, so it disengages that gear, so you can free spool it. My pin, disengaging pin, or clutch if you like to call it that, snapped. That bottom plate, the mounting plate, bowed that way and bowed out that way. That's with Almac at the moment. Hopefully they'll be able to straighten up that bracket, and they said they might have a second-hand wrench that I can recover the pin from. On the inside of the drum there's a spring and there's a planetary gear which engages not only the drum but also the motor. At the far end of the shaft that comes through here, there's a little mushroom, that's the best way I can describe it, a flat spot, which sort of goes inside that gear. On the right hand side, as we're looking at it, there's this little roll pin which locks that planetary gear between that sort of mushroom and the roll pin. And the spring inside here just gives it tension so it stays in gear when it's not disengaged. This just goes like this, into there like that, and that's the assembled part.